It's simple. Oh, man. I was just going to say.
It's very strong. It's a very strong.
The owner of a deadly hook,
Down, he's landing. Oh.
a one-of-a-kind style,
7 pounds. They're right hand.
and electrifying charisma. The legendary Tommy the Duke Morrison was one of the most outstanding gladiators of his era.
And the first one we've seen. Oh, right to the...
Fans put him on the same level as Tyson, and experts predicted a truly great future for him. But at the very peak of Olympus, tragedy struck, and after that, he fell all the way to rock bottom.
Throw that hook. He does have a devastating left hook. Well, that's it.
Today, you'll witness the journey of boxing's The Great White Hope, from a living legend
And I'm going to the top.
to the person who lost everything. This is Boxing Space. Here we go. The future boxing star was born on January 2nd, 1969, in a small town called Granite. Tommy wasn't the only child. He had an older brother named Tim Morrison, and as it turned out, explosive power ran in their blood.
Mistakes. He hasn't got the class to offer here, and he's down again.
At just 13 years old, Tommy was already forging documents to fight men way older than him and knocking them out with ease. And when he stepped into the professional ring, the younger Morrison was holding an ace up his sleeve in the form of his left hook, and took on the bold nickname, the Duke. The early stage of Morrison's career was absolutely mind-blowing.
Trials a big right hand.
Out of 15 fights, 14 ended in brutal knockouts.
Right-hander.
There's the left hand. Jake goes down.
And in September 1989, young Morrison faced a dark horse of the division, Rick Ennis.
I actually had a cup of coffee, if you will, with the Denver Broncos.
But the moment the bell rang, the Duke sent Ennis to a devastating knockdown with a nuclear left hook.
Already by the hook as well as left hook. Down goes Ennis. That was a thing of beauty.
And without slowing down this hellish pace, Morrison kept dismantling his opponent piece by piece.
He gets quicker, he wants to get stronger, but he feels those all things fights will attest to that, but he's another one of those guys.
Then, flashing his Hollywood smile, he took on the role of the Tooth Fairy and sent his opponent's teeth flying as souvenirs and his consciousness into the shadow realm. In the end, Morrison walked away victorious, announcing himself to the world as a ruthless knockout artist for the first time.
Tommy the Duke Morrison.
His next opponent's name was Harry Terrell, a fighter with solid professional experience behind him.
Surgery 3 times on his right hand.
From the very first seconds, Tommy wasted no time on formalities. He unleashed a barrage of powerful punches right away.
To the left, it has the opponent protecting against the ropes. Does not want to be.
However, Harry managed to withstand the crushing blows, and soon enough he started casting his own fist spells in return.
The Mike Weavers of the world and all the rest.
But even after Terrell's attempts to seize the initiative, nothing changed the outcome.
He's got 43 seconds to do it. Again, Morrison looking for the uppercut. He used it.
Because next, Tommy landed a devastating shot that sent Terrell on a date with the canvas.
A little bit more. There's the left hook. And now goes Terrell. An excellent counter left hook.
Yet Harry rose from the ashes again like a phoenix, but that turned out to be a fatal mistake.
Terrell trying to shake it off. Here we go.
Because then, the Duke decided not to prolong Harry's suffering, and with one final punch, he found the off switch on his opponent's head.
227 pounds. Big right hand. If he gets up, I'll be the most surprised person in the Coliseum.
Tommy the Duke Morrison.
Next came a terrifying test for the rising star, former WBC champion Pinklon Thomas. Even more intimidating was Thomas's record, 43 wins, 34 of which ended as a headache for opponents.
That hurt. Wow, that's it.
Pinklon was also known as one of the toughest opponents in the career of Mike Tyson.
A left jab right in the face of Thomas. The heads really banged together that time.
That's why the audience expected this clash to become a true Ragnarok. And when the bell rang, these two maestros of violence immediately made several attempts to send each other to the afterlife.
att nutta.
Thomas proved to be an incredibly tough nut and even began to seize momentum with his fist power.
Väldigt fin upptakt. Thomas är för seg, han hinner inte med.
But not for long. The Duke tightened his lead fists and showed that every nut's destiny is to be cracked.
Drömsöppning för Pinklon Thomas.
Jag tycker de har spelat ganska stort.
However, by the end of the round, battered and bleeding, Thomas made the right decision. He refused to continue this massacre.
Morrison finds out.
In January 1991, the Duke's fists targeted a new victim, James Quick Tillis. But in this bout, Morrison wasn't here for a marathon and wanted to end his opponent right away. So, from the very start, Tillis looked like a drunk man trying to keep his balance under Morrison's punches.
Still trying to get himself back in. Good left hand, down goes Tillis.
I guess he does have a good left hook.
And a combination again by Morrison. A left and a right behind it. An uppercut, and down goes Tillis. Very impressive. And Tillis is still...
Then the Duke performed a crushing combination that forced the referee to jump in and save his opponent.
We're wondering if Tillis is... Well, there it is.
That's it. And that's it. 2 minutes and 2 seconds.
In the end, Tillis's nickname, Quick, only described the speed of his defeat. Meanwhile, in just 2 years, Tommy built a record of 25 wins, and in 21 of them, his opponents left the ring in a horizontal position.
Before he gets a chance to grab on. Good combination, and Holstein.
Since then, talk of the Duke's title shot became serious. Many boxing fans believed Morrison could win a potential fight of the century.
Tommy the Duke Morrison comes to boxing naturally. He's related to John Wayne, whose real name was Marion Morrison, grooming Tommy for a shot at heavyweight champion Mike Tyson. And it could be the grudge match of the century.
The fame of boxing's white hope went far beyond the ring, because Sylvester Stallone himself handed him a golden ticket to Hollywood, offering him a major role in Rocky V. But even there, Tommy made sure to train his jaw. After the successful premiere in Hollywood, Tommy woke up a star. Huge contracts started pouring in.
And I'm going to the top.
And it seemed like his successful future was secured. But Morrison stayed true to his craft and returned to the boxing ring. His comeback to fist science led him straight into a clash with an undefeated monster, Ray Mercer.
There with his right hand.
And a glancing. And when he's been upright, he's been looking to get disqualified.
I think that's
what will tell the tale. And here we go. Round 1 is scheduled for...
From the opening seconds, Tommy danced around the ring, landing clean shots on his opponent's jaw with ease.
Well, Tony Perez shouldn't let an body punch with the left.
But Mercer played it smart and started slowly draining the Duke's gas tank.
Breathing a little hard, make that mouthpiece bounce off your teeth.
And once Morrison ran out of fuel, Ray instantly pulled the trigger on his punching Gatling gun.
Mercer sneaks another right hand, and Mercer now comes on the attack with hands.
And then Mercer mercilessly unleashed a final barrage of devastating shots at the exhausted Morrison.
Mercer with a 2-hit Mercer.
For the first time in his career, Tommy, who had never fallen before, suffered defeat and disappeared from the radar of matchmakers for a while. That's why, after such a loud defeat, fans began to believe Tommy would trade his professional career for the spotlight of Hollywood. But Morrison wasn't the kind of man to be written off. He showed the power of his true character. In June 1995, Morrison faced the ultimate fear of boxing's golden era and Iron Mike himself.
How was he punching? Was it hurting you?
He punches like a mule kick. Unbelievable. Excuse my French, please. Oh, my God.
That boogeyman's name was Donovan Razor Ruddock.
Die komt aardig door, gevolgd door een opstoot en dan weer een linkse rechtse. En daar gaat hij.
Ruddock earned his nickname not just for his perfectly lined haircut, but also for his killer punching power. The moment these two gladiators stepped into the ring, fans were expecting a violent war because they knew one of them would be carried out feet first.
Razor Ruddock, the man who gave Mike Tyson 2 difficult bouts.
As soon as the bell rang, Ruddock proved his terrifying nickname, smashing Morrison to the canvas with a brutal uppercut.
By Ruddock. Oh, there goes Morrison!
But Tommy didn't star in a Hollywood movie for nothing. He knew how to rise like a hero after heavy blows.
Ruddock has done a nice defensive job with Dominic, and it wasn't in a situation that Morrison...
The shaken Duke managed to seize back control of the fight and force the shiny-headed opponent onto the canvas.
By Ruddock, and it may have hurt Morrison. Big left hook! Down goes Razor Ruddock!
Ruddock also got back to his feet, but that only delayed his agony.
Not seen for rounds!
Because what followed was a storm of killer punches from Tommy that shook the referee's mental health, forcing him to stop the fight immediately.
Needs to buy about 10 more seconds, and it's a long one. He will not go. Bye, it's over. Toward the end of the round, Ron Lipton says, I have seen enough. Tommy
But over time, fame once again got to the Duke's head and clouded his judgment. The ladies' man chose to trade hard training for nightclubs in company of women of easy virtue. Only after 8 months of hibernation, Tommy came to his senses and returned to the four corners of the ring. But on the horizon stood a beast whose fists were packed with dynamite. His record included 28 wins, 23 by devastating knockouts. His name was Lennox Claudius Lewis.
Since the McCall fight, how to ease his way into a bout.
As soon as the bell rang, Lennox's size and reach gave him the advantage, allowing him to dominate from distance.
Fighting style.
But soon, Tommy Morrison tightened his fists and began systematically demolishing the upper levels.
The way he's throwing the hook frequently with those right hands as he steps inside.
However, in the second round, things went very bad. Lennox unleashed a brutal beating, painting Tommy's face with horrifying bruises.
Appears to be coming.
Punch after punch forced Morrison down to his knees.
Down goes Morrison again, and this is
Long stride, and there's good body shot.
good body shot by Morrison, but he goes down. Here, you get that sense. Down goes Morrison.
In the end, the referee couldn't watch the beating any longer and stopped the fight.
A terrific performance by Lennox Lewis.
After the bitter loss to Lennox, Morrison's career began to decline, and in 1996, shocking news broke that completely destroyed his career.
I was informed just a little while ago that those tests do in fact confirm that I have tested positive for the HIV virus.
I'd ask that you no longer see me as a role model, but see me as an individual that had the opportunity to be a role model and blew it.
After that, the life and career of the Golden Boy spiraled out of control. Alcohol and drugs became his new reality. In the following years, the illness severely damaged Morrison's health, and in 2008, he was forced to hang up his boxing gloves. Soon after, his body began to fail him badly, and his health rapidly deteriorated. At the age of 44, the legendary Tommy the Duke Morrison passed away. Dear friends, today you learned about the idol of millions of teenagers and women, a man who never managed to unlock 100% of his potential, yet left a permanent mark on boxing history.
Right-hander. There's a left hand. Jake goes down a little bit more.
Tommy Morrison was a man with so much power that he couldn't handle it himself. Alright, that's it for today. Like this video and let us know in the comments, could the Duke have beaten Iron Mike?
New champion, Tommy the Duke Morrison.
This was Boxing Space. See you next time.